Welcome back to another edition of the Right Guys podcast. My name is Max McGuire. Mr. Producer Josh Hammerling is out today. So I'm all alone. Well, not all alone. Here with friend of the show, best-selling author, Blaine Pardoe. Blaine, welcome.
Hey, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you. Exciting news. I was going to kind of throw to the book you were talking about last time, but you let me know as we were getting on today that your new book, Tenure, just opened up for pre-orders today.
Yeah, it's great. It's a vigilante story. I worked on it with Mike Barron, who's one of the guys who wrote the original, Punisher back in the 90s. And it's a story about a guy who's a normal person who, misgenders a student, and his whole life is destroyed. And, he ends up becoming a vigilante and going after the woke.
Oh, wow.
Which, I'm surprised no one's gone there yet.
Yeah.
And I know the left is going to hate this book, which means I love it.
Well, it's again, last time we were on, we were talking about how easy it can be to come up with stories that seem far-fetched, but they have these nuggets of truth. And the good fiction books are the ones that you can see yourself in. And you say, oh, I could see us actually getting there. This kind of falls into what I call, what do you think would happen, right? When you destroy like someone's life over an innocuous thing, when cancel culture and the woke mob comes after someone, and all of a sudden someone who spent their whole life teaching, only thing they know, they're kicked out of school. They're disgraced. It kind of falls into the, what do you think would happen? I like to think that the killdozer people are fewer than we think. But people, you can only push people so hard before they break. So what you're telling me, it wouldn't be the first thing I would think, but it also doesn't sound all that far-fetched.
We tie in a lot of real day, instances and things that are right out of the news into this. So it's plausible, it's current, it's got a Reacher feel to it. Mm-hmm. It's got a Punisher feel to it. It's got a Death Wish kind of feel to it. If you watch the movie Nobody and enjoyed it, you're going to enjoy this. It's a book that's an action film. And it really harkens back to that whole genre of books that, like The Executioner and things like that were written as men's adventure, and we just wanted to get back to that. You know
what I've been into recently? The Joe Pickett books from CJ Box. I started reading the first one, love it. Then I started watching the show, and I like the show, but the show kind of departs from the books. A whole genre of like the neo-Western kind of. I never thought I'd be rooting for like a government bureaucrat, but that series does a very good job of making you root for the game warden. So yeah, everyone head over to Amazon, pre-order Tenure. It's live now. Looks like it goes live officially. Comes out in January, so pre-order it now. Pre-order is very important for the rankings. So head on over there, pre-order this book. It sounds great. All right, so
we have a lot to cover.
Yeah, a lot to cover. That book sounds like it's a pretty manly book.
Yeah, it is. And I'm unabashed about that. I don't care. Yeah. All of our male characters have penises. It's okay.
A disclaimer that wouldn't exist 10 years ago.
Yeah, it wouldn't have existed 3 years ago. It's just, our women are actual women, our men are actual men, and it's that kind of a book. And if you know what, America needs this sort of stuff now. And
then. The kind of men that would eat carburetors for breakfast, that kind of men.
I've never in my life heard that phrase until this morning. And then when I heard it, I actually paused it because I thought this was an SNL skit. It was so badly acted. With and I'm using the word loosely, men in it.
I thought it was a parody. I was shocked to find out this was a real ad. If people haven't seen it yet, this is an ad. I don't know if it's officially from the campaign or if it's from her super PACs, but what's very clear is that people think that this is a good idea, that they see the polls plummeting for Kamala Harris with men. And they very clearly went into a room, said, okay, what do we do to fix this? And they came up with the cringiest man's man attempt I've ever seen.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Meat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
Oh, that full-throated line is going to be one of those things you just can't shake.
What was the full throat? I see things in this I didn't see the first time. I'm suddenly really concerned for that stand-in horse.
I am too.
I'm very concerned for that horse.
I think that horse has got something to be worried about. And then the guy that ate the carburetors also ate a lot of pizza.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't body shame here.
No, but
like that's not a rancher. That's not a rancher.
Yeah. Well, and he's out gardening in a rooftop garden with a cowboy hat on. And I'm like, you couldn't even find a farm field for him to be walking around in the corn or something like that.
I was waiting to see the sticker on the hat.
Yeah.
Right? I was waiting to see the sticker on the hat. This is the roughest thing I've ever seen. And you can tell that whatever writers were here in the back room writing this thing, like, oh, what's bad about men? They don't ask for directions, right? That's very obviously written by a woman, or at least someone who knows like the female like complaints about their significant other. Oh, he never asked for directions. This read like just a stereo. They basically looked up what does it mean to be a man, and they hired a bunch of actors from Juilliard or NYU Tisch, dressed them up like ranchers. It's okay, go for it.
It's a dumb commercial. You know, you just don't buy into any of it at all. These are, you know, it's clear, you know, what's really scary is how much they hate men.
Yeah.
You know, and it comes through in an ad like this where they're going, we don't hate men. We just hate most men.
Yeah.
We want these kind of men.
Yeah. We want men who will raw dog a flight.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means.
It means getting on a flight without a phone or anything to keep your attention. You just sit there and you just stare.
Wow.
But it has
so brave.
It has an overtly sexual, like no latex kind of undertone.
My God.
and again, I'm
This
concerned
was
for this horse.
horrible.
I'm
This is
concerned for this horse. If that even is a horse, that might just be taxidermy. We don't know.
Yeah, it could be a prop horse.
This guy, I'm not sure what his arm is. Oh, it looks like there might be a railing. But when I first saw it, it's like this guy's just chicken winging it. And this, you mentioned this as we were coming up. This pose.
Could this be a little more effeminate?
I don't know. But
he's a rough guy because he's on the tailgate of a truck.
Yeah, and they got an old-timey windmill in the background, right? you can see the Sierra Nevada mountains. I bet you we could tell exactly where this was filmed based on those mountains. I don't know if you've ever seen like the GeoGuessr people on TikTok who you can plop them down in GeoGuessr, which shows you Google Street View anywhere in the world. They just know where they are. I guarantee these are like the Sierra Nevada mountains. This was filmed somewhere in California.
They're green screened.
Yeah. Oh, possible too with the backlighting. How it looks like his entire shirt is bright white. That's because he has heavy light behind him. It might be that sunset. But that's also what you would do if you didn't want the green to flood onto his shirt.
Right.
That look. I don't want to go out on a limb because I'm sure that there are more effeminate things that have happened on the tailgate of a truck, but that might be up there. This might be up there with the crossed legs.
This just speaks to how desperate they've become. And it tells me they're afraid. Yeah. They are afraid. I think their internal polling is giving them a perspective that they're losing. The Democratic Party's never cared about white males before, but suddenly it's become a thing. They've got to find them at this point. And the whole focus of having men talk about reproductive rights, again, we're going to wrap our hands around this whole, abortion issue. And that's going to be the thing that drives people there. Well, it's not going to be what drives white men to vote. If you're voting for abortion and you're a white man, I'm sorry. That's just like a stupid issue for you to pick your hill and die on.
Yeah. I mean, most of us are worried. I mean, I'm as pro-life as they come. I've sat on the board of pro-life pregnancy centers. I work with pregnancy centers every day, helping them reach out to women. So I'm as pro-life on that issue as it gets. I don't think I've ever come into contact with anyone who's that pro-abortion who would ever need an abortion, like the effeminate men who don't have girlfriends, who will never have girlfriends, right? I mean, like those are the people that kind of get dragged into that gravity well and kind of fall into that. It's wild, and you can see that this is what they're pushing. She was just on Call Her Daddy, which started as a podcast of women talking about their sexcapades from the previous weekend. That's how it started at Barstool Sports. She's trying to rebrand herself now as a new Oprah, but it was a sex podcast. And they asked her a question about bodies. And they said, can you think of anything where the government gets to control what a man does with his body? Here's that clip.
I want to pose this question more to you and the Daddy Gang, but one of the biggest conversations in this year's election revolves around a woman's body.
Yep.
I want to take a moment and can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision.
I know what you're going to ask.
About a man's body.
No.
Is there any law?
No.
Yes. Every man, when he turns 18, has to sign up for selective service. And then the government has the right to take your body, put your body in a combat zone and say, good luck. Right. I mean, and in the process, inject you with every vaccine they can think of. You can't say no.
Well, this is off the top of my head. From the same party, though, that said if you don't get the vaccine, doesn't matter whether you're male or female, if you don't take the vaccine and you're a government employee or in the military, you're out. We're going to ruin your career. You are fired. she literally is the embodiment of that. She
Yeah.
supported that policy.
Yeah. And isn't every law that criminalizes conduct in itself controlling what you can do with your body?
Yes.
Right? Like, you can't embezzle funds. Oh man, the government's stopping my body from embezzling funds, right? You can't murder people. All of these laws are restricting what you can and cannot do with your body. It's also illegal to sell your own kidney, right? It's a crime to sell your own organs. So you can't participate in that willingly. They've criminalized that. It's against the law to inject experimental drugs into your body. I mean, a lot of times that's state laws, but the FDA has a lot of control over that. And if you cross those lines and engage in that kind of conduct, you can break the law. So there are plenty of laws on the books that don't care about what gender you are. You can't do it. But the interesting thing about this case is it is just as illegal for a man to kill an unborn baby as it is for a woman to kill an unborn baby. It's not like there's a loophole for men to participate in that. It's just such a weak argument, but that's all they have. That's all that they have left is to try and spin this up, get people angry enough about this. I don't know if it's going to work.
Well, I think the most telling part of that is when she said, "I know what this question is."
Yeah.
Because it's very clear she had the questions in advance. Okay. So, this is typical Kamala.
Yeah, I know what the questions are. Typical Kamala town hall. Yeah. I mean, we know that they've been doing this. She's been on podcasts, and the podcasts have said, "Yeah, we cleared the questions with her in advance." People have gotten fired over this at legitimate news radio outfits for clearing the questions. We know that that's going on. I don't know. Election's not over. There's a lot of room here that we need to race through the finish line, but it is a little enjoyable to see them squirm. The only bad thing is we're not going to see the meltdown on election night that we saw in 2016 because they kind of can sense it's coming, right? The Young Turk meltdown on November 2016 will go down in history as one of the most enjoyable things to watch.
I was up till 2:30 in the morning, and nothing gave me joy more than watching those people cry in the Javits Center or wherever they were. They weren't going to get to break the glass ceiling that they had brought in, and it was all over. And how could this have happened? And it was enjoyable. It was fun to watch. And my wife and I are going to be on a cruise. We're actually going to be out of the country during election night. But I hope to wake up the next morning, which is my birthday, and hear that Trump won. But I think they sense it's coming. I mean, we saw that with Jamie Raskin coming out and going, "Well, I'm not going to certify the election if, Donald Trump wins." He wouldn't be saying this if, they thought for sure the fix was in. And I think the margin is so great this time that they know their cheating isn't going to work either.
Yeah, the interesting about that is interesting thing is Jamie Raskin spearheaded the effort to change the law that allowed Congress not to certify.
Yeah,
like they said that was insurrection to even consider not certifying a result, insurrection. So we're going to change the law so that no one can ever do it again. And now buyer's remorse. Democrats say, "Oh wait, no, we like that. We like that." I mean, of course they did it in 2004. Saying that Bush stole Ohio. They did in 2000, saying Bush stole Florida. They did it in 2016, saying that Trump stole everything because Russia bought some Facebook ads in Delaware. When they do it, it's fine. When Republicans do it, it's not fine. But they're getting nervous.
They broadcast and project. So they've been telling you, look, if you don't vote for our candidate, this is the end of democracy. Well, they're telling you we're going to end democracy. And Kamala has been pushing for censorship and arresting Elon Musk and shutting down Twitter, et cetera, because of misinformation or disinformation. It's wild to listen to a candidate who would actually advocate not just, hey, we're going to censor, it's we're going to go after the people and the companies that do this. That is hilarious. and weird.
This was I think this is out today in the Atlantic. I'm running out of ways to explain how bad this is. What's happening today is something darker than a misinformation crisis, saying that they need to crack down on social media platforms because people can't be trusted. People can't be trusted. And the guy who wrote this posted on Twitter in parentheses free speech. They don't even like believe in free speech. They put it in air quotes when they talk about it. And this all comes back to what Hillary Clinton said this week, which was a stunning confession admission.
Platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
Quiet part out loud.
Well, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't thank God that Donald Trump defeated this witch and kept her away from the actual reins of power. He terminated her career. She's a footnote in history. She was a Secretary of State and she was a First Lady. It's over for her. But yeah, she said out loud the part they're not supposed to say out loud, which is this is all about their control.
Yeah. My favorite Hillary Clinton clip, and I think about it every time I hear her voice. Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? And then after the election, her wandering through the forest was peak. Oh, what's the other one? Have you ever seen the one where she's trying to act like she is with the people and she goes into this person's apartment and she's horrified by what she sees? Have you seen that one?
Yeah, it's been a while.
She's in an East Harlem kitchen and she's trying to be like, oh, I'm one with the people. I'm all about this. Well, here we go.
She's a rough person.
Here's a better one. Let me save image. So usually Mr. Producer Josh does this. Here we go. Look at her face. It's just a normal kitchen. It's just a normal kitchen. Yeah, I hate her. I can't stand her at all. But they're bringing her back. They're bringing her back. They're bringing Bill Clinton back. They're bringing Barack Obama back. That's their plan. Kamala Harris can't get the people going. So let's bring out the cast of characters to rile people up.
I don't fault them for that because they have to do it because Kamala on her own can't carry this. If I was in her camp, I would be advising pull those people in, to be completely fair. And I'd be using Barack Obama. I'd have him glued to her side if I could pull it off, and I'd have Oprah on the other side. You have to do stuff like that. It doesn't mean that they're any more genuine. And it also doesn't mean that Barack Obama is going to tell people, here's how you vote, and they're going to go vote that way. It doesn't. That age has come and passed. And I think the unions have come to realize it heavily as well, that if union leadership says vote this way, my brother-in-law was in the UAW. He's like, we don't vote the way the UAW tells us to vote. We just vote. There's a handful of people, he said 15, 20%, they will do whatever the union tells them to do. The rest of the people vote the way they want to vote. And the age of these incredible endorsements, and we've seen this with newspapers, et cetera, where they endorsed a candidate and it was a big deal. It's not. It has zero meaning. Zero. And I think that applies as well if Barack Obama comes out and tells you, hey, you got to vote for Kamala. She's awesome. It doesn't work.
As someone who is your writer and you put out a lot of books, I'm just looking through your titles and how frequently they're coming out. You're definitely benefiting from like the democratization of information, being able to quickly publish, get things into people's hands. Like we just talked about your new book, pre-orders available in January. It used to take a lot longer to get things into people's hands. People would wait for the morning paper to learn about what happened yesterday. They turn on the nightly news and they get some kind of wishy-washy explanation for what happened. The internet, the very thing that Hillary Clinton says, if we don't control it, we lose control, has allowed people to get information much faster. It's at their fingertips. Some people use it for good. Some people use it for evil. But people don't need to know what the superstars say, right? They don't need to know what George Clooney thinks, which was interesting because he's the one who stabbed Biden in the back. They don't care. The age of that moving the needle is way past. I think you're right. I don't know if Kamala Harris has a problem with Hispanic men, black men, and not non-college white men. I don't know what Bill Clinton does for them. Like,
well, look at it this, you take a good look at it. You mentioned two of them, Barack Obama and George Clooney. They went out and supported Biden.
Yeah.
2 weeks prior to his stepping down, they were like, he is awesome. Oh, he's so great. He's sharp. He's witty. He knows what he's doing. He's the guy, all of that. And then it turns out George Clooney goes, you know what? He's mentally deficient and you got to pull him out of the race for the better of the country, etc. Barack turned on him. Nancy turned on him. They literally have zero credibility at this point. If Barack Obama came into my basement right now and said, you got to vote for Kamala, I'd be like, you told me I had to vote for Biden.
Yeah.
Where's...
Yeah, that's interesting, yeah.
You literally knew that you were putting up a human vegetable.
He was walking him off stage. That was, they said that was misinformation. When Biden got lost on stage, couldn't find stage left.
Yeah. So, I mean, the guy has no credibility, and people are no longer going to go, well, I'm going to vote the way my dad always told me to vote. And I think that's what's hurting them is a lot of black men at this point are going, I'm going to vote where the economy is. I'm going to vote for Republicans. And there's no amount of threatening, coercing, cajoling that you can do that's going to get them to vote. They're going to vote where they're feeling the pain. And right now the pain's in the pocketbook.
I want to find a clip. Radio show with Charlemagne the God. Black radio show, Breakfast Club.
Yep.
And there was a gentleman who called in, African-American man who called in. And he went on, we won't play the whole thing, but he went on for 3 minutes railing about how pissed off he was that they were giving money to illegal aliens, that they're giving money to Ukraine. Meanwhile, he and his friends, they don't even have enough money to evacuate in the advance of a hurricane. I don't think you can get rid of this sentiment by dragging the corpse of Bill Clinton on stage. Here,
this Tone from Tampa, man. Tone from Tampa. What's up, brother? How was everything out there?
It's a little light rain right now, heavy wind, but I'm going to just keep it a buck, man. This ain't where it's at, man.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to say, y'all right in the middle of it. The eye's hitting Tampa from what the map shows right now.
Man, bro, my heart, bro, is in my ass, bro. I'm scared, man. And then we still recovering from Helene. And it's like, bro, I want to get this off my chest, bro. This government is playing in our faces, man. It don't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. They playing in our faces, bro. You get Ukrainians come over here, they get what they want. You get immigrants come over here, they get what they want. And you got people being denied these FEMA applications that you talking about the other day, Charlemagne. Mm-hmm. People being denied, bro. But you getting these migrants coming over here, $10,000 food stamps, bro. Your goddamn $5,000 cash stipends, man. This shit hurting, bro. We finna get ready to damn near die, bro. A lot of people couldn't afford to evacuate. And this government planning our face, man.
Damn.
I mean, they don't know what to say.
Nobody does, because how can you defend it? You can't. It's idiotic. I mean, literally the day she handed out made the announcement about the $750, she announced that they were giving money to Lebanon, millions of dollars. It's like the level of tone deafness that the Democrats have with her is amazing. And I always say this is why an open and fair primary is necessary. Now, I'm not saying the Democrats do open and fair primaries. But at least with a primary, you get a debate. And we all saw the first time she debated, she was a vegetable. She got 0 delegates, 0. Okay.
Yeah.
If she had gone through the primary process, she wouldn't have been the candidate. It might have been a Robert Kennedy or maybe Biden. I don't know, but it would have been somebody else.
It wouldn't have been her.
She wouldn't have ever been the candidate. And we're supposed to believe the same people who have told us that Biden is sharp as a tack. He's an amazing intellect. He's running the White House. He's on top of everything. Turned around and said, okay, well, he's a vegetable, but she's sharp as a tack. She's brilliant.
She really knows what's going on. I was listening to someone, and they put it pretty bluntly that this is an experiment. Can you, as the Democrats, kind of shoo someone in last minute and get people to vote for them without actually having to? Because part of the primary process is listening and responding, right? So you go around the country, you go places like New Hampshire and Iowa, not because they're going to ultimately win the election, but because that's where you can find average folks who tell you what they care about. You craft your platform around what you're hearing from people on the campaign. I mean, that's the nice way to think about it. The cynical way is you tell them what they want to hear. And it kind of develops from that. And you expect the cream to rise to the top. Whoever gets the most will win. And then everyone bands together and goes to the general. It's very noticeable that she didn't go through this process because she's still stuck on messaging. This is not the time to be hammering how to develop the messaging. This is the close. You have to close, right? Like, how many times are we hearing her being asked about the economy? And she just goes, well, I come from a middle-class family. No, that might fit in Iowa back in January, right? But no, people now, when the ballot's on their kitchen table and they're trying to figure out what oval to darken, they want to hear what you're actually going to do. They look at Trump saying, yeah, I'm going to make your auto loan tax deductible. That's something, right? It's something so that, God forbid, your car breaks down, you need to buy a car. At least it's not that harmful. You're not seeing anything from her. And I think it's really showing.
Well, when she did the one interview this last week where they asked her flat out, they said, what would you do, on The View, they said, what would you do different, than Joe Biden? And she said, I really can't think of anything. Well, then you're the person that would have put us in this mess. And you're the person that would literally keep us in this quagmire. Her argument, I always love the argument of we're going to tax the rich, because that's going to fix everybody else's economic problem. And I'm like, no, that just puts more money in the government coffers. That does not fix any of the problems. You will spend that money poorly because we've seen you do it to the tune of trillions of dollars in national debt. And it's not Donald Trump's fault that we have a national debt. Trump did contribute to the national debt. We have to own up to that. He contributed $1.5–2 trillion to a $8 trillion debt. The rest of that was the quote unquote, this was going to help the economy package. This is the big Bidenomics package, the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah.
That she literally was the dividing vote on, the deciding vote on, which, by the way, taxed your, tips. And things like that. Now she's like, oh, I'm against that. Well, you voted for it 2 years or 3 years ago. You voted for that.
I was reading something that was shocking to me, that the Inflation Reduction Act was basically repackaged Green New Deal, a lot of the same stuff in it. And that's how they kind of pushed through the EV tax credits.
Yep.
And they didn't have the money for that. So it looks like they took the money for the EV tax credits from Medicare, one of the Medicare programs, and have kind of been moving money around to kind of hide it. But people's Medicare, I think it's Part D or whatever it is about to skyrocket. And we're talking about people going from paying $20, $30 a month to over $100 a month for this side plan for Medicare. And there's an investigation now because they timed this price hike to happen right after the election. people should be paying more right now. People should be seeing their prices going up 3, 4, 5 times now. They timed it conveniently right after the election. No, it's all scummy. It's all scummy. And you realize, I mean, everything that they put her in charge of, Joe Biden is doing her no help. I don't know if you saw, she had her big rally that they're about to cut to. And for the first time in his entire presidency, Biden walks into the press briefing room right as every station is about to cut to Kamala. That didn't help. She said that that Governor DeSantis was ignoring her call. Joe Biden immediately came out and said, "Oh no, DeSantis is great. We're having a good conversation. He's doing a great job." And then every chance he gets, he's saying she was part of everything. She was part of everything. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of love right now.
I don't, I kind of think of this way. Biden is a doddering guy who has moments where he's very bright, but a lot more moments where he's really a puppet. And I tend to think what you're seeing is not necessarily venom from him, but probably venom from his wife, Dr. Jill. Dr. Jill doesn't like what they did to him. She's worried about the legacy. She's worried about, will he have enough brain cells to rub together to pardon Hunter before he leaves office and things like that. There's going to be a whole lot of that they've got to do. And they're also probably a little worried that Trump will initiate investigations into their family and the financial misdealings that the Biden family's done. And she blames Kamala for a lot of that. And I don't blame her. They usurped him. And, if he's incompetent enough to not run for president, he's not competent enough to be president right now. And our country has kind of looked the other way and said, oh, it's okay. He's just going to be doddering there for another 30 days. Israel's getting ready to strike back at Iran. This is the world is teetering constantly. You need a steady hand at the till or a strong hand at the till. And I'm not saying Trump's steady mentally all the time, but at least he comes from a position of strength.
Oh yeah.
And he's going to do what's right for the United States.
Well, I mean, he to a T ran Ronald Reagan's madman theory. It's like he read Reagan books right before he came to the White House, and I'm watching like the first 3 years of Trump, and I'm like, why won't you people just calm down? Like, he's pulling a Reagan, he's trying to act all crazy, make them think that his fingers kind of hovering over the button. That's what he's doing. Instead, everyone takes it literally. There's a famous line from, I forget who it is, but I think she wrote for The Atlantic, that people take Trump literally but not seriously. And it should be the opposite, right? Trump's supporters take him seriously, but not literally. And that's kind of the difference maker. Do I think Trump is going to do everything he says he's going to do? Probably not. A lot of that funding, a lot of that government spending that, he signed the bill. Every time he threatened to shut down the government over it. Right. So it's hard to back up that threat when your own party, GOP, uniparty people are saying, we'll override your veto. Right. So that gets hard. I don't know. I'm looking at this. I think with the Joe Biden bit though, just to wrap that up, you ever been drunk at like a party or an event and all of a sudden like shit starts going down, like there's a fight and how fast you sober up and you're like, okay, we got to get out of here. Grab your stuff, grab your bag. They're fighting. We're getting out of here. That kind of feels like what's happened with Joe Biden, where he's kind of in this daze. The meds are kind of all cool, sleeping on the beach, like Trump says, with the 6-ounce chair. I think stabbing someone in the back is a sobering event, right? Because he has been more lucid since the knife went into his back than I think we've ever seen from him. And that's what it kind of reminds me of. You're at the party, stuff starts going down. Like, okay, honey, get your bag. We're leaving. Quick, sober up. Let's do this thing. I'm seeing a lot of that from Biden.
You may be very right on that. It's got to be chilling for him because he thought his legacy was going to be 8 years. Yeah. And I think in his heart of hearts, he thought he could win this election. He really did. And to have all of his friends in Congress, friends in Hollywood, his former boss, Obama, and everyone turn on him, that had to be, even in a mentally incapacitated state, that had to be chilling. Because it's like, I really don't have any of these. None of these people were my friends. None of them were in my corner when I needed them to be. They don't trust me. I know I can win this election, but they're not letting me even try. That had to be, that would devastate any man, to have that happen to them, or any person. You would be like, oh my God, everybody I trusted has betrayed me.
Do you think that kind of that seems like it might be a little bit naivete? I mean, he might think about that now. I guarantee he didn't come up through politics saying, "Oh, we're going to all hang with my friends." Do you think that's something that as he gets later in life, he's like, "Oh, they're my friends"? Because most people understand cutthroat business, politics. You kill someone just to use them as a step stool to the next level. I can see that, but part of me also thinks that he should know better. Yeah,
he was at the top, and that you're always looking down, so everybody's below you.
Yeah,
and you think they need you. You believe they need you to be able to do their thing. He's going, Nancy Pelosi, you need me. I'm the president, and Nancy basically was like, no, you're out, and that had to hurt. And I'm dying for when Trump gets into office. I want to know the extent of the cover-up of Joe's mental incapacity. I want to know who the people were that were behind it and how much they really believed he was out of it, but didn't fulfill their constitutional obligation to remove him from office.
I think last time you were on, you said that might be the final card they have left to play.
Yeah.
Removing him to give Kamala incumbency.
I keep waiting for the October surprise, man. And that's the one I keep thinking is, Joe, we're going to invoke the 25th Amendment if you don't step down. We're going to put Kamala in because the hope is maybe they'll vote for her if she's actually the sitting president.
Yeah.
And we get to say she's the first Black, female, Indian, whatever president. That's what she is. We get to say she's number 47. And
then Trump has to redo all of his hats.
Yeah. Well, and, maybe they'll pull it as a ploy. I don't know. We're running out of time for them to pull a stunt like that, though.
In order for that to work, he has to be a willing party for it. Last time you were on, it seemed like maybe he would be a willing party for it. Seeing him kind of behind the scenes, even in front of the cameras, stealing her thunder, I'm getting less of an impression that he would be willing to go quietly, right? You can't pull that off if he's kicking and screaming, being dragged out of the White House.
Oh, I know. But boy, I'll tell you, I think they are literally to hold on to power. There is no level that they won't stoop to. It doesn't matter. I mean, they've tried to kill Trump twice.
That we know of.
That we know
the public ones,
yeah. And then blame it on him. That was priceless, by the way, too, is it's all his fault.
Yeah.
It's his rhetoric that causes all of this. It's not us. Even though the last guy he's got a picture of him next to a tailgate of a truck that's got a Biden-Harris bumper sticker on it. Oh, it's not us. That's Trump.
Yeah. And the 6 phones. Right now I have 2 phones because I'm in the process of sending one back for a rebate, for a refund. Bought a new phone. I've never had 6 phones. I've never heard of anyone having more than 2 phones, one for work, one for personal. The more phones you have, my understanding is the more phones you have, the more illegal the stuff is that you're doing, right? If you need 6 phones, burner phones, that you're putting in a box and giving to a friend to have them hold on to it, because that's where they found those phones with the letter that he wrote. That's just, I don't know anyone who has 6 phones.
Well, let me put it to you this way. First assassination attempt took place when? July
13th.
Yeah. So we know more about an attack on a Taylor Swift concert in Austria that didn't happen. Okay. We know where they got the guns. We know what the motives were. We know all about that. Then we know about a presidential assassination attempt that actually wounded the man. So I think to me, they're holding back getting that information out there because they know it will. I think there are Democrats involved in it in some way, shape, or form, be it a PAC, be it somebody. We have pictures of him texting that day, the assassin. So what the hell? We don't know. And the FBI is going, oh, it's a mystery to us. It's real hard to break these phones. And hey, if it was my phone and I was in the Capitol on January 6th, I assure you, you would have broken my phone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And with the right pressure, with the right leverage, you could get Apple to open up phone.
Yes.
Right. They've done it in the past. You could get them to do it. What's crazy is that to stop an assassination attempt of Trump doesn't reach that level to convince them to.
Or it has. Or they have broken it. They just don't want the American people to know what the content is.
Well, let me ask you this, because I thought of you and your books when I read this headline, that when congressman, part of this task force, showed up in Butler, Pennsylvania, looking at everything, they asked, hey, can we see the body? Can we see the autopsy results? And the body had already been released for cremation. Now, I'm not an expert in government policy. I'm not an expert in how fast people get cremated. But my understanding is that that was abnormal. And if you wanted to hide something, the best way to do it would be to cremate the body before anyone could see what's going on.
I agree. I write true crime books with my daughter. Been on the New York Times bestseller list for one of my true crime books with my daughter. And I could tell you, this just doesn't hold water. The FBI would have all they would have had to do is get a judge to say, we're going to hold this body on ice to make sure that we fully autopsied it. The new investigations were going on with Congress. That was not a secret. It was very public. They should have said, until the investigations have all had a chance to do their due diligence with this corpse, we can't destroy the corpse. Releasing it for destruction seems like a deliberate attempt to hide information. Now, I don't know if there was anything, and we'll now never know because they have destroyed the evidence.
And they've denied the second autopsy, right? Because like that congressman wouldn't be able to see anything. But I mean, we had more autopsies for George Floyd than we had for the Trump assassin, right? I mean, like, that's crazy. That to me is insane. And I don't know what they would want to hide, but I mean, things under his fingertips. There's lots of things you could learn from it.
Well, like I said, we know more about Taylor Swift's killing. The kid's parents called 911. How come that call hasn't been released? Every other time there's a shooting of any sort in this country, the 911 calls on the evening news. We don't even get the 911 call why the parents were calling. Why would they be worried if their 21-year-old kid wasn't at home? That doesn't seem right. I want to know what the hell that phone call sounded like. And there's a recording of it. They have literally stopped releasing information regarding the assassination attempt. And then they have the audacity to go, you guys have got to stop coming up with conspiracy theories. You guys are a real problem out there. And it's like, you do realize you're feeding this. You are creating an industry here.
Yeah. I never thought a second autopsy would be necessary until they speed cremated the body. Right? I never even thought about why haven't they released the 911 call until you just reminded me about it. We all know more about George Zimmerman's 911 call than we know about the call from the parents. I remember when I was 21, 22, I would tell my parents, hey, I'm going to the shooting range. I'm going to be out of cell service. I'll be back later. because I lived in New Jersey, and we would go to Fort Dix. There's a nice range down there. My parents never were like, "Oh crap, we need to call the cops."
Yeah.
Like when your kid says he's going to the shooting range, the first thing that comes to mind shouldn't be, "Oh, we need to let the cops know." They knew something very clearly, and
Yes.
I guarantee it was in that phone call.
I think it was in the phone call. And again, we haven't seen anything about what's going on. And that bothers me. And even the congressional investigations haven't come up with these things. I expected the congressional investigation to start releasing some of that information. They have not done it. And it makes you suspicious. But, we're in an era where we're supposed to be suspicious of our government.
Yeah. No, healthy suspicion is good. And if they care about the misinformation, the disinformation, which I've been reading into, apparently there's a difference. Misinformation is when you're just saying something false. Disinformation is when you're deliberately saying something false to trick people. But they throw them around like they're completely interchangeable. Like, I don't know if you saw this one. Tim Walz was on Good Morning America, and a friendly show with a friendly show asking him about rising food prices in grocery stores. And he said, when people go into grocery stores, they see misinformation.
Talk about the economy. That is the top issue for voters out there. 74% of voters said the past year they've had to cut back on groceries because of the rising costs, of course. And a lot of those voters, they're concerned that they cast their vote for Kamala Harris, but she's responsible for that. Yeah. So how do you reach those voters? What do you say to those voters who may blame her for the economy right now?
Yeah, folks in the middle. Well, we talk to them about what are the policies that are going to make a difference. And we see some of the data, but data doesn't impact people in their daily lives. Going to the grocery store and you see false information, whether it's bird flu impacting eggs. But the reality for most people is if those...
We're almost out of time, Blaine, but I want to ask you, have you ever gone to the grocery store and seen false information?
No, but I do know a goofball when I see one.
Knucklehead.
That's bullshit on a stick, and everybody knows it. It's, they're trying to obfuscate the actual issue here, which is Kamala Harris is part of the Biden administration. By his definition and by her own admission, she would have done nothing different and was a part of every major decision that was done. She was the tie-breaking vote on 6 times on legislation that was against the will of the American people that led to this current Bidenomic boom that we're in. They can't escape it. And so now they just label it as misinformation or disinformation. I don't care what the phrasing is, and I don't really care. I don't accept their definitions of anything, period. They are trying to manipulate us constantly with the use of the English language, and I don't support that. Tim Walz, it was a poor choice, and if anything, it's a good reason to vote for Trump because you look at the level of decision-making that she's done. Tim Walz is just emblematic of all of her bad decisions. She got the wrong vice presidential candidate.
Well, she couldn't pick the Jewish man because her party can't have that. So Shapiro was out. Shapiro, she probably would have won.
Shapiro, I think she would have tied up Pennsylvania, or I think. I don't know how popular he actually is in Pennsylvania, but he got elected there, so you have to assume he is popular. Yeah. I think she could have tied it up, but they were worried about then if we put a Jewish man on the ballot, what happens to the people in Dearborn, Michigan, and et cetera, where you've got the largest Arab community outside of the Middle East living is in Michigan. And, what are you going to do? You're going to lose Michigan if you gain Pennsylvania. So they were playing political
Pennsylvania games. has more electoral college votes.
Right. Well, but the thing was they were playing political games rather than pick the best candidate to be the vice president. They picked where they thought they could tie down votes.
Yeah. Well, we're here with Blaine Pardo. I want to cut to your book again to tell people where they can get it, but we did just get a comment from YouTube from Otto von Wienis, if that is his real name. You're losing momentum. We're going to win next month. Kamala is ahead, and I can't wait to see the smiles from your faces go away and watch you have to turn in your firearms. Well, I hope, Otto von Wienis, I hope that you lead the stack. I hope that when they go to the first house to raid it, to confiscate someone's guns, I hope you're the first one through the door. That's the best thing I can wish for you, Otto von Wienis.
Well, I love anybody who spends their life hiding behind fake pseudonyms.
Yeah.
All I could say is I remember that line in Die Hard after the helicopter explodes, and they go, "We're going to need more FBI guys." Well, that's what you're going to need if you want to go door to door to start rounding up guns. If you're going to make that statement, Otto, I suggest you join the group that goes and knocks on that door and starts getting the guns. It's awful big talk to make those kind of claims when you're not the guy who actually has to go and do it.
Oh, for sure. And I hope he leads the stack. And I suspect if he leads the stack, he will learn very quickly that doors aren't really that impervious to bullets.
No.
Don't wish him harm. I just wish that he gets to live his dream and lead the stack. Well, Blaine, I appreciate you coming on. Great conversation as always. We mentioned it at the start, but I want to mention it again. Your new book just dropped on Amazon for pre-order. Tenure. Everyone should go over there. Give one more plug for the book so people can know what it's all about.
It's the Punisher taking on the woke. Let's be honest, a good vigilante story is something we all like. If you like the movie Death Wish, you're going to love this. This is very much along those lines. It harkens back to that old genre of men's adventure books. This is a story, and I got to tell you, the left is going to hate every aspect of this book, and every negative review is going to give me such joy because I know they spent money on it and it bothered them. So, if you want to make a stand, this is a good way to do it.
Yeah, and negative reviews are still engagement.
Yes.
Like that Otto von Wienis guy on YouTube. Comment's still a comment.
You know what? What's great is he literally sat and listened to the entire show so that he could throw out his one comment. And it's like, it irritated him a great deal. So I accept his rise of blood pressure as compensation.
Yeah, he comes on. He comments every now and then, which means he's subscribed. If he keeps commenting, it means he's subscribed. Well, Blaine, I appreciate you having you on. Great conversation as always. Everyone, head over to Amazon, pre-order Tenure. It's live today for pre-orders. Very important for the statistics, for the rankings, to get those pre-orders up. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that right now after we get off. Blaine, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Max.
Well, that is it for this edition. If you like the podcast, subscribe down below, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow. We're on X, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble. So subscribe to that. And we also have the audio edition of the podcast. Everywhere you can find audio podcasts, subscribe to that as well. We try and keep this as audio friendly as possible. That's it for this edition. My name is Max McGuire. Remember, everyone, that the fight to take back our country is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together. See you next time.